Hello there, welcome to Just the Discs. My name is Brian. We talk about Blu-rays here, or in this case, we're talking about 4Ks. I've got 3 4Ks, recent releases from Paramount, and all are pretty impressive picture-wise and movie-wise. I'm a fan of them as well. Let us start with The Truman Show. This is the 25th anniversary 4K UHD release of The Truman Show. And as you've probably heard, I've seen some other reviews online that have definitely made a case for it. It is a big upgrade from the Blu-ray, which I think came out in about 2008. Not a great transfer on that Blu-ray, but this has more than made up for it with this lovely 25th anniversary 4K. And for folks that don't know, this is a really fascinating movie, directed by Andrew Niccol, who did several really cool movies around this time. Another one is Gattaca. I'm a huge Gattaca fan. That came out on 4K a year or two ago. Really great examinations of society through science fiction. That seems to be something Andrew Niccol, did really well. And Gattaca is really great for that. Definitely recommend that 4K for sure. This is a different kind of examination of society, and it really does become more and more relevant with each passing year. The idea, of course, is that we have a guy named... what's Ed Harris's character's name in this? Dang it, I forgot. But he basically has this idea that he will take a baby from birth and televise his entire life through hidden cameras and, just... They're hidden everywhere. They're hidden in his home. They're hidden at his work. They're hidden all around this city that he's built, that he is able to keep Truman, who is played by Jim Carrey in a wonderful performance. He's able to keep him in this city through a few different interesting manipulations. And I won't go into that. If you haven't seen the movie, it's fascinating. But the idea is that there are some people in the world that watch this show that don't like the idea that this guy's being held captive and he doesn't know anything about it. He's married to a woman played by Laura Linney, and he has a job and a best buddy. They go and have beers on the pier all the time, and he's just genuine. And I think that's one of the things that people respond to about the show is he is a real, almost Ned Flanders-y kind of guy. Like he'll say good morning and say, like, if I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Just a very seemingly, a guy that has everything fine, like everything's good. But on the inside, there is some turmoil, and that begins to be examined throughout the film, and it goes to some really interesting places. Again, it's become much more relevant, I think, now in the age we live in, where everything is captured on cell phones all the time. So we all are kind of living in a Truman Show kind of state in a way. I mean, we're aware of it, so there's that side of things, but I do feel like there's an interesting side to this in terms of the society we live in now versus when this came out in, I think, 98. It really has come a long way in terms of how the film hits you differently as you age, and the film hits you differently as society has changed through social media and what have you since its heyday when it came out. But big kudos to Paramount for putting together this 4K. It really is a nice looking 4K, and I was really happy about that because this is a movie I'm a big fan of, and had been a little disappointed in that Blu-ray release. In fact, I don't even have that anymore. I just was relying on my HD stream that I have on Vudu. I hadn't watched the actual Blu-ray in years. So it's nice to have this back. The film itself is on the 4K disc, and this also includes the Blu-ray with the feature film. And then it's got, like, how's it going to end, the making of The Truman Show, faux finishing, the visual effects of The Truman Show, deleted scenes, photo gallery. It's a very nice package, I would love more stuff. I'd love an Andrew Niccol commentary or something like that, but at least you get some making of and stuff like that. But again, in terms of quality, this is really high-end stuff and a great job from Paramount. Highly, highly recommended. And a really great movie. Like one of the better movies of the late 90s, for sure, as far as I'm concerned. Next up, we have Deep Impact. This is a part of the 90s disaster movie cycle that we saw, with things like Volcano. And, of course, parallel to this was Armageddon. So you had two movies about giant asteroid coming that will collide with the Earth and destroy it. And this one stars Robert Duvall, Téa Leoni, and Morgan Freeman as the president. Téa Leoni plays the reporter who initially thinks she's scooping a story about, I think he's a White House advisor that's having an affair. But in fact, it turns out he's just trying to cover up the idea of this asteroid. And they have a whole name for the secret asteroid. They've given it a woman's name, and so like it's a tough movie. It also has Elijah Wood, Vanessa Redgrave, Lily Sobieski, Blair Underwood, Maximilian Schell. Maximilian Schell plays Téa Leoni's dad. Very emotional take on this. Armageddon, the Michael Bay version of this. This is directed by Mimi Leder, who a very interesting filmmaker from this period who you don't see making maybe she went into television, but she did The Peacemaker, which is a movie I really enjoy, and some other stuff. And so this is a really interesting female-directed disaster movie. There's a commentary by Mimi Leder and visual effects supervisor Scott Farrar on this, preparing for the end, making an impact, and creating the perfect traffic jam. Our features included here. This is all there's a Blu-ray and a 4K included, and I think the features are mostly on the Blu-ray, as is often the case. But this looks very nice, better than I remember it looking, for sure. It has HDR, as does Truman Show. So the color is really nice in both of these. But yeah, this movie, a little bit of a downer. I gotta be honest. I had forgotten kind of why I hadn't watched it in so long, and that's part of the reason. It's a little bit of a downer movie, but I think a well done disaster movie, especially when the actual disaster stuff hits. It is very impactful, no pun intended. Really, really memorable stuff. So it was nice to come back to this because I was a fan of that whole cycle of disaster films that came out around this time. You had, like I said, Volcano, Dante's Peak, and oh man, there were so many. I'm blanking on Firestorm for whatever reason that comes to mind. I don't know why I'm thinking of the Howie Long fire movie, but anyway, there was a lot of them, and there were a lot of parallels where one studio would do one and another would do one, and this one I think got a little left behind in terms of Armageddon was more beloved in some sense, although not critically that well reviewed. I think this was a bit better reviewed at the time, but like I said, an interesting rewatch for sure, and very enjoyable to see it looking so good on 4K. So that's another one. And then lastly, this one I picked up as a fan of Jerry Lewis and his movies, The Nutty Professor on 4K. This looks really nice. A very colorful film. One of Jerry's best movies that he's ever made. Paramount celebrates 60 years of the essential comedy classic, The Nutty Professor, debuting on 4K Ultra HD with HDR10 and Dolby Vision in this limited edition. Jerry Lewis directed, co-wrote, and starred in this riotously funny Jekyll and Hyde-inspired tale that set a new standard for the genre and later became a hit remake, of course, the Eddie Murphy film series. He did a couple of those. Lewis plays a timid, nearsighted chemistry teacher, and he discovers a magical potion that transforms him into the suave, handsome player, Buddy Love, which is an enjoyable character because he's just so obnoxious. Obnoxious to the point of being nauseating, but you just kind of are amused by him, and he ends up sort of going for one of his students, played by Stella Stevens, the lovely Stella Stevens, and yeah, it's an enjoyable movie for sure. One that's very funny, and you can see why it has the cult following that it's grown over the years. One of Jerry's best movies. This has a new filmmaker focus with Leonard Maltin. Both sides of the camera, the innovative genius of Jerry Lewis, presented by the Academy Science and Technology Council from September 12th, 2012. And a Jerry Lewis and Frank Tashlin discussed the Nutty Professor September 1962 recording, plus an hour of legacy featurettes and content, including commentary by Jerry Lewis and Steve Lawrence, screen tests, deleted scenes, bloopers, and promos. All this stuff is in HD. But yeah, I had to pick this up. It's just all one 4K disc, and it looks great. Like I said, this is a colorful Paramount 60s film, and the Dolby Vision HDR really do make it look that much better. And it's still very funny, you know, so I had to pick this one up. This has the fold-out cover. But yeah, so just 3 recent 4Ks. The Truman Show, definitely, again, Dolby Vision HDR, really, really beautiful transfer. This is the winner, the best transfer of the 3, but all 3 look great, and all 3 are definitely recommended if you're a fan of the genres wherein they fall. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.